Content 24 hours a day. Want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
And the best part?
You can watch Real America's Voice right there on Getter.
Live.
So join the conversation.
Hop on the Getter chat room.
Engage with patriots who are just like you.
Good morning, Getter friends.
We're breaking news, we're delivering the truth, and we're doing it on Getter
Every single day.
So don't wait. Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
It isn't just an app. It isn't just a social media platform. It's a community.
Happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is
Well,
king.
Mr. President, as everyone knows, government funding expires at midnight tonight. As I announced yesterday, I will vote to keep the government open.
Chuck Schumer just said that he's going to vote for cloture. Not only the Democrats can do it, but he's going to participate in it. Does that mean that you think he's a weak Senate leader?
I think that would be a mistake.
If we do not protect our nation's manufacturers, we lose a fundamental part of who we are as a people. Making things, building things, working with our hands is America's heritage.
President Trump is taking the fight over his attempt to restrict automatic U.S. birthright citizenship to the Supreme Court. This as the Republican president's administration asked the justices to narrow a judicial block imposed on this approach toward immigration.
Donald Trump says he would love to meet with Vladimir Putin after the Russian president suggested that he is open to a ceasefire in Ukraine, albeit with some pretty strong caveats.
Nothing will stand in our way, and our golden age has just begun.
This is Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Now it's time for everyone to understand what America First truly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily here, Washington, D.C. Today is March 14th, 2025, Anno Domini. President Trump calling out a huge missive on Truth Social earlier today regarding the Battle of Kursk. And the way I put it up on X earlier was the Battle of Kursk is over. The second Battle of Kursk is over. President Trump calling on Vladimir Putin to allow the soldiers to be spared. Of course, Putin as well had called for the surrender just yesterday, as we covered here on the program. So we covered this in play-by-play. We gave you the real time on this yesterday, that all the movings and the machinations between Moscow, Washington, D.C., and Kursk. We've been talking about this encirclement that's been going on of the salient, these Ukrainian troops that have been held up in Kursk, which is on Russian soil across the border from Ukraine, the city of Sumy. And President Trump coming in and saying, it's over. It's all over. Basically telling the Ukrainian side, throw down your arms, and going to the Russian side saying, let them live. Yeah, POWs, all that stuff. Look, this is what it comes down to. That's what President Trump is showing here, by the way. This is what he's always said. It's about leadership. It's about peace. It's about world peace and an end to World War III. Men, go back to your moms, go back to your dads. It's over. All right? It's over. And it's showing something that we haven't seen for years in Washington, an actual care for the people, the Christian men dying in trenches on both sides of this conflict. And I've been down to Mar-a-Lago, and President Trump has told myself and Steve Bannon and many others to our faces about what's going on down over there, about the killing. And you can tell that it's really something that he wants to stop. And someone is with what's going on. What's going on? Someone's coming over. Wait, who's that? Is it the police? What?
One thing to you all. That Christ is King.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Are we getting it going?
We got the rosary check. We got the scapular check. How about the patron saint necklace check? Listen up here. It's St. Patrick's Day weekend.
That's right. That's right.
Also, who's this one here?
There you go. Oh, Franco Friday. Little Franco Friday action.
Teaming.
How'd that get in the studio?
Double teaming on the stream. Let's go.
My brother, folks, Kevin Posobiec. Give him a follow, folks. Give him a follow. Kevin Posobiec. Hey, Kev. Christ is King.
Christ is King.
Christ is King. Viva Cristo Rey. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Kash Patel expected to speak soon here on Human Events Daily. Stay tuned.
To holding Washington accountable. That's why we've launched the first 100 Days Tracker. This powerful tool tracks the administration and Congress as they work to deliver on promises that matter to you, securing the border, strengthening our economy, defending our freedoms, and protecting Social Security and Medicare. Join millions of AMAC members across the nation who are staying informed, taking action, and making a difference. Join today for 5 years and receive 47% off. Stay informed, share your voice in our exclusive survey, and join the fight to protect America's future. AMAC, standing for your values, your freedoms, and your future.
Wounded Warrior Project empowers post 9/11 veterans and their families with life-changing programs and services.
I realized I could be successful in a civilian career.
We stand by warriors and advocate for their needs going forward.
They were by my side in the hospital, and they're still with me today.
Through our programs, community, and advocacy, we're proving
anything is possible.
Learn more at woundedwarriorproject.org/connect.
Time for everyone to understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the Second American Revolution.
All right, Jack Posobiec back live. Human Events Daily. FBI Director Kash Patel expected to speak very shortly here. We're going to go live. We'll get some of that when it comes in. But folks, real quick, I want to say, attention American homeowners. You already do so much to protect your home, but there's a hidden threat that you might not even know about. We're talking about something called title theft. And we've talked a lot about this here on the program, but homeowners nationwide have $32 trillion in equity. Think of that. That's an all-time high. And with everything going on in the state of the U.S. economy, homeownership is more challenging than ever. And title theft is one less thing you should have to worry about. That's why you need protection from the crime the FBI calls house stealing, where the equity in American homes is the target. If your title isn't being monitored, scammers can transfer it into their name, take out loans, and your equity could be wiped out without you ever knowing. The best way is to protect your equity with triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Title Lock is 24/7 monitoring, alerts, and restoration services. Sign up today at HometitleLock.com or click on the link in the description and use promo code POSO and you'll get your first 30 days of triple lock protection for free. And a complete title scan of your home title so that you can make sure your home hasn't already been compromised. That's 30 days free and a title report for using promo code POSO at HometitleLock.com. Click on the link in the description below. So we got the box up there. Kash Patel expected to speak very shortly over at FBI headquarters, or actually I think it's Main Justice. Blame my last. That's Main Justice, where this is the first time president has visited the Department of Justice in quite some time. I believe Barack Obama was the last one to do so about a decade ago. We've got Gavin Wax of the New York Young Republicans, though. So Gavin, as we wait for Kash Patel to come in here, and just if I could get your comment on this, this really is a sign that between Pam Bondi as the Attorney General, Kash Patel as the FBI Director, this is about restoring a single tier, a balanced system of justice in America. Isn't that right?
No, absolutely. We need to restore confidence in our institutions, particularly as they pertain to the judiciary and our legal system. We've seen over the past few years the politicization and the weaponization of the federal judiciary and the federal legal system against the political opponents of the Democrat Party, namely President Donald J. Trump. And if you go down at the state and local level, we've seen district attorneys and judges completely derelict in their duties to enforce the law, to punish criminals and wrongdoers. Instead, they seem to punish the victims and turn a blind eye to the rampant crime wave that's been impacting this country. Meanwhile, many of these activist judges on the bench are trying to dictate, federal policy as it relates to migration and a whole litany of other things, trying to rule by diktat, completely out of step with what the founders intended the judiciary to do. So we have a whole slew of problems as it pertains to our judicial system, to our legal system, a lot of rot, a lot of institutional rot and corruption. I'm glad to see we're in the beginning days of clearing out the aforementioned rot.
Well, and it really is simple. And we're going to have Robert Barnes on later here in the program to discuss some of this judicial activism that's come out. But Gavin, I think when it really comes down to it, when you look at what President Trump is doing, we talked about the military arm, the kinetic arm of this line of effort, this vertical. We're also seeing it on the economic side. Today, we're doing the judicial side. But all of this is about restructuring the U.S. government and U.S. involvement and U.S. engagement in places around the world as well as places internally to become for the benefit of the American people. Not these globalist institutions, not these globalist forums, not these random cadres of globalist elites in their multinational enclaves like Davos. No. It's about actually helping the American worker and specifically middle America that's been completely overlooked in this last decade plus of globalization.
No, you're saying it well, Jack. And this is a multi-front war that President Trump is waging against all enemies, domestic and afar. And we have many issues as it pertains to the economy, pertains to the culture, the border, the aforementioned judiciary, the wars ongoing in Europe and elsewhere. So President Trump has a massive to-do list, a massive checklist, a massive amount of issues that he inherited from the previous administration. And I think the way that the speed at which he's begun to tackle these problems has been legendary. It's been epic. We've never seen a presidency, let alone a Republican presidency, act with such speed, with such efficiency, with such ruthlessness to tackle these problems head on and not mince words. So whether it's bringing peace to Europe, or whether it's securing the border,
Gavin,
or whether
we've got
yes.
Kash Patel. We've got Kash Patel taking the podium there.
Rooms in the
First
halls
major
of
speech as
justice.
FBI director.
And it really is a unique experience to be able to be a part of the team that is delivering a singular system of justice for the American people with a complete and total annihilation of the weaponization of justice and the politicization of intelligence. We have a new FBI, and I'm humbled and honored to be its leader. We have a courageous Attorney General and General Pam Bondi. We have incredible leaders throughout our law enforcement community, whether it be at the FBI, the DEA, HSI, CBP, ATF, and the list goes on. I've been privileged to meet so many of them in my first month on board here. I look around and I see state attorneys generals that have been doing the work hand in glove with local, state, and federal law enforcement. And our mission, and my mission specifically, is to tell you what we've been doing in this first month. And I told you when I got this job that we would crush violent crime, that we would take the fight to anyone who wishes to do harm to our way of life and to hurt our citizenry, that we would go to the ends of the earth to bring them back to face American justice produced right here in this very hall, in this very building. To that effort, we have done just that. And a special shout out, I know my Boston contingent is here on St. Paddy's Day. Thank you for the great work you guys have been doing, and across the rest of the FBI. But right here in Virginia, or across the river in Virginia, the FBI stood up an interagency task force at our Manassas office, and in just 2 short weeks, we have arrested over 300 violent felonies gang members, including MS-13 and 18 gangsters. We have taken seizure of hundreds of pounds of narcotics and hundreds of weapons and currency and illicit goods. That's just what you can do when you put the brave men and women of law enforcement in one room and get the hell out of their way. And we are going to do that in every state across this country. In Massachusetts alone, in the last couple of weeks, they have indicted federally over 50 violent gang members and narco traffickers, seizing almost 200 kilograms of fentanyl. There is no time for us to waste on this job, and that's why under President Trump's leadership and General Bondi's leadership, we've been instructed to get after it, and that's exactly what we are doing. We have to especially get after it when we lose an American citizen every 7 minutes to a drug overdose. We have to especially get after it when a woman or child is raped in this country nearly every 6 minutes. And we have to especially get after it when there are 2 homicides nearly every hour in this country. Violent crime is exploding, and it is a direct result of the border invasion that occurred. But thanks to this administration and thanks to your relentless work on the field of battle to protect our citizenry, we are finally curbing those astronomical numbers. And what that means is we are saving American lives. We are providing our children with safe schools and playgrounds so that they can be educated and grow up in a fun neighborhood like we all had the privilege of doing in this great community and in this great country. So when you go out there and you see your communities working with this interagency task force, and you see our brave men and women of law enforcement, it is a team effort. This is not a one-stop, one-man, one group, one agency operation. It happens at every single level. Just yesterday, I was honored to meet with hundreds of law enforcement officers from around the country, and I was even more humbled to graduate 245 police officers from the FBI National Academy, representing 48 states and 24 countries. That is how you put the mission first. You bring these brave warriors who have already dedicated their lives to safeguard our communities. You bring them together to do it again and again and again. And the thing that inspires me most is that they have a relentless desire to make sure that they wake up and end the day in a community that is safer to you all. And I just wanted to talk to you here for a few minutes about that great work. Just last night, 7 narco trafficking thugs from Colombia were extradited and returned to American soil to face American justice. Just the other week, 29 Mexican narco traffickers from Mexico were repatriated here to America to face American justice. Just in that group alone, you are talking about over 5,000 kilograms of narcotics that would have poured into our country. And you'll see the type of damage that just a little bit of fentanyl can do to our children. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of kilos. Yes, that is a national security crisis, but the good news is the men and women of law enforcement, in conjunction with the brave warriors that we have in Congress, who have the courage to stand up and fight for their representatives and fight for their constituencies, are leading the funding and legislation we need to make sure we get this mission done. This is not going to be a short-lived process. Certainly at the FBI, it is something we wake up to every single day and go to bed at every single night. And the thought is singular. What is the best way we can safeguard our citizenry? What are we doing worse? What are we doing better? And what's in between? And when we have those answers for you, you see them delivered in the halls of justice in the courts across this country. And that's the great work that is the tip of the spear. But there is so much work behind it from state and local authorities. We are getting after it, not just where the media normally covers. And I want to highlight the following. The violent crime that plagues our country is also plaguing those on tribal lands, and we are not going to treat them any differently. They all live in the same America that we live in, and they face the same crises that we face. So we will work with our state and local partners on all matters that are affecting tribal lands and Indian reservations to make sure their children are no longer trafficked, to make sure their women are no longer raped and go missing. This mission must be 24/7, 365 from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. But beyond that, we must go extraterritorially, like I've just told you about. We must go down to the furthest reaches of the planet to make sure that we bring you the justice that you have voted for in this new administration. And we will, and this is my promise to you as the director of the FBI for as long as I'm in this seat, we will never, ever stop fighting violent crime. That is the priority of the FBI along with national security, and we will put every resource and every manning that we have on that mission. And lastly, through this great work, you will see tremendous oversight and reforms at our FBI, which will unfold with our partners in Congress over the coming weeks and months and years ahead. But I want you to pay attention also to what's going on in the halls of Congress, because they are providing us with the resources we need to combat the fentanyl crisis. And this administration is providing us with the tools we need by designating the cartels foreign terrorist organizations, because that's exactly how they should be treated, because that's exactly who they are. And in that pursuit, I look forward to playing a very small part. The FBI will play a very large part, and our interagency partners and our local and state law enforcement officers will start putting more and more and more handcuffs on the bad guys, and good cops across this country will be unleashed to be good cops on a daily basis. And the lasting promise that I will leave you with, and this is a message to the law enforcement community: you have always had the backs of the American people, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation and me as its director will have your backs. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche.
Hi, everybody. How we doing? So let me welcome you to the Department of Justice and our great hall. We're thrilled that you're here with us today. This is an incredibly historic day for our department and for everybody in this room, because I know you guys are not here to see me. I know who you're here to see. And it's because for the first time, President Trump is going to come here and speak at the Department of Justice in our great hall, and it's a great day. I want to thank we have a ton of special guests here today, and Attorney General Bondi is going to thank you as well. But thank you all for being here. There's law enforcement, our state and local partners, states attorneys generals, folks from the Hill, and we really, really appreciate you taking time to come and hear President Trump speak shortly. Director Patel is great, isn't he? So like was just announced from above, my name's Todd Blanche and I'm the Deputy Attorney General. I will tell you that I love this department. Our mission, keeping our borders safe, keeping our cities safe, our rural communities safe, that's a great job. That's our mission, and we're executing, as Director Patel just said, on that mission right now. Some of you may know me because I represented President Trump over the past couple of years. Enough has been said about what happened to him over the past 4 years. But I was right next to him. I stood next to him making that very stern, mean face that you saw. On multiple occasions, I met with him on multiple occasions, and I will tell you, the media attacks, the partisan prosecutors, the complete and utter lawfare, the assassination attempts that happened on more than one occasion against his life, through all those things, through all that time, he was a complete inspiration to me personally. He just stayed completely resolved. As you've heard and seen on multiple occasions over the past year, he never wavered. He was resolved to keep fighting on behalf of the American people, and that's the inspiration that I felt from him for the past several years, and it's the inspiration that drives me every single day. In a little while, you're going to hear from our great Attorney General, and she's going to also share some words about the vision and what we're going to do to make America safe again. I've been here 7 days. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of what I've learned in that time, of what we've already done since January 20th. 53 days ago, the President made the American people a promise. He promised that under his watch, safety will be restored, violent criminals and illegal aliens will be brought to justice, and the partisan weaponization of the Justice Department will end. We have a lot of work to do to keep that promise to the country, but let me tell you a bit about what we've already done. The President promised to the American people to eliminate the cartels that have been flooding our country with drugs and violent criminals. We responded, as Director Patel just said a few minutes ago, by working with the President's team to secure custody of 29 cartel leaders from Mexico. These defendants were responsible for horrific crimes, including murders, drug trafficking, money laundering, and we brought them to the United States, where they will face justice. Now, among the criminals that we brought back from Mexico was RCQ, Rafael Caro Quintero. He led a vicious cartel and was responsible for the torture and murder of DEA agent Kiki Camarena in 1985, 40 years ago. Now, the United States chased that man. Law enforcement from every agency chased that man for 40 years, and we got him. I was really happy and satisfied to learn just the other day that Special Agent Camarena's handcuffs, they were saved by his son, who is now a judge in California, were used on RCQ at his presentment in United States District Court. We are not stopping at the 29 folks that we already brought here. We will continue to hunt down cartel members throughout America, Mexico, South America, and everywhere in the world. Last month, President Trump designated MS-13 and TDA and other cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. These designations are important to the Department of Justice. They allow us to charge members of the cartels and their affiliates with terrorism charges because they are terrorists. This designation reflects the damage that they have done to our communities everywhere in this country. They're, of course, not only harming our country and the people through more than just drug trafficking, but also all kinds of other illegal activities. And so the people that support him, both in the United States and abroad, will be targeted by us. The President promised to crack down on illegal immigration, and that has been a major problem in this country for a very long time. Since January 20th, just a couple months ago, DOJ prosecutors in our border districts have filed criminal cases against over 6,600 illegal aliens. That's worth clapping. In Arizona alone, we've charged over 3,000 illegal aliens in just the past 2 months. Illegal immigration has resulted in the deaths of countless American citizens. Take the case of Wake County Sheriff Deputy Ned Byrd. On August 11, 2022, he was murdered at the hands of 2 illegal aliens. Now, they were brothers, the Sotelo brothers, and they were arrested. But one of them escaped prison and fled to Mexico. He remained in Mexico for over 2 years. Then President Trump took office. The Justice Department and our law enforcement worked tirelessly, and he was brought back to the United States where he will face justice. We are also setting up task forces with our Homeland Security partners. These task forces include the FBI, DEA, prosecutors, our state and local prosecution offices and law enforcement support, some of which are here today. And their mission is clear and critical, is to aggressively enforce immigration laws and ruthlessly pursue members of transnational criminal organizations. Director Patel mentioned one, and it's worth mentioning again. It's right across the river in the Eastern District of Virginia. It's the first task force that we set up, and they've already arrested over 220 gang members, and we are pursuing hundreds more just with that one task force. Now, President Trump also promised that we will always support our courageous law enforcement officers. They are on the front lines in the fight against crime and in the fight against illegal immigration, and we will have their backs. In an executive order, the President directed us to seek the death penalty where appropriate for anyone who murders a law enforcement officer. 2 months ago, U.S. Border Patrol agent David Christopher Mayland was tragically murdered in Vermont. Last month, a federal grand jury indicted Teresa Youngblood for the shooting of Agent Mayland. We are strongly considering seeking the death penalty in that case. The President promised that under his watch, we will no longer stand by while universities tolerate and facilitate anti-Semitism and support of terrorism on their campuses. The department's recent actions, which hopefully you've seen at Columbia University in coordination with our law enforcement agency partners, are part of the administration's mission to end anti-Semitism in this country. Just last night, we worked with the Department of Homeland Security to execute search warrants from an investigation into Columbia University for harboring and concealing illegal aliens on its campus. That investigation is ongoing, and we are also looking at whether Columbia's handling of earlier incidents violated civil rights laws and included terrorism crimes. This is long overdue. Let me be clear. Hamas is a terrorist organization. It has the blood of American citizens on its hands, innocent victims, many of whom are citizens of this country, have died because of Hamas's actions. Any person engaging in material support of terrorism will be prosecuted. This includes those who threaten acts of violence on behalf of Hamas in the United States or even pay Hamas in the United States. The President also promised an end to the weaponization of government. Our weaponization inquiries are ongoing. They include matters relating to J6, improper prosecutions under the FACE Act, and the case against Colorado elections clerk Tina Peters. Under General Bondi's watch, the weaponization has stopped, period. The department's focus is now squarely on our core mission, keeping the American people safe. That was a brief overview, and as you can tell, we have been very busy doing a lot of work in this department since January 20th. And that would not have been possible with everybody in this room. Without everybody in this room. One thing has become clear to me as I've met with the men and women of the Justice Department just over the past week, and that's that we are blessed to have extraordinary law enforcement officers, prosecutors, civil lawyers, hardworking staff working every day to execute on our mission, and I thank them for that. They've made me feel welcome, and I can't wait to work with them for the next 4 years. So this is just the beginning. It's March. We have a lot of work to do and plenty of time to do it. I will tell you, under Attorney General Bondi's leadership, we will work tirelessly to restore law and order to our great nation. We will back the blue. And I couldn't agree more with what Cash said a few minutes ago, that we are going to go after violent criminals and illegal aliens throughout our nation. I'm gonna stop talking now, and there's going to be a brief break before you hear from the main event, Attorney General Bondi and the President of the United States. But I just want to thank, again, all of you folks for being here today. I want to thank President Trump for visiting us today on what is a truly historic day. And most of all, I want to thank all of you for being here. And we got a lot of work to do, and we're ready to do it. Thank you very much.
And I'm Bo Davidson. You just heard remarks from Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, with the backdrop of the music Unchained Melody, a classic song by the Righteous Brothers. Todd Blanche was speaking at the RFK Department of Justice. A lot of his topics included the fight against deadly fentanyl. Everybody knows that ages 18 to 35, fentanyl is killing young Americans in the droves. Talking also about support of terrorism on college campuses and prosecuting those individuals. Anyone who is seen supporting terrorism and pro-Hamas will be prosecuted and held to the fullest extent of the law. Also talking about the end of the weaponization of justice and also a restoration of justice. And he said he's blessed to have a great start and a great staff behind him. We want to bring in Brian Glenn now. Brian is actually at the RFK Department of Justice. Brian, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, good afternoon, Bo.
Hey, Brian, good afternoon to you. So I was just kind of giving an overview, Brian, of what we all just heard from Todd Blanche, talking about that fight against fentanyl, the unbelievable support of terrorism on college campuses, and how we will prosecute those individuals. Tell us a little bit more in depth about what Todd talked about today, and also what we can expect coming up.
Yeah, well, good afternoon, everybody. Behind us on the stage here, and let me step aside real quickly, because I want to make sure our audience at home understands the amount of fentanyl that these agents are catching. I've been told what you're looking at right now was the recent siege that they just had from some cartels, and that is a large amount of fentanyl. That perhaps could kill this country over multiple times. But that's the kind of stuff that they're finding on these raids at the border as they continue to pursue these drug cartels that have absolutely terrorized this country the last 4 years. Now, in regards to the disruptions that we're seeing on these college campuses, I think that we'll probably hear a little bit more from President Trump on that today, as it just recently, as you know, yesterday, even at Trump Tower, hundreds of supporters stormed their way into that building, caused the chaos as NYPD had to come and basically drag them out. But this is all a part of restoring law and order in our country, Bo. And we heard from Kash Patel as well. And I think you've got two individuals with an addition of Pam Bondi coming up, and of course President Trump. I think between the four of them, they could probably get this country straightened out rather quickly, Bo.
Yeah, Brian, and we've got a couple more minutes with you before we go back to programming, but you just mentioned that fentanyl that was there. For those people watching that looked back at the last 4 years and thought that the border was not an issue, that immigration was not an issue. It sounds like that Todd Blanche and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi have come prepared today with receipts, with actual evidence that you see there sitting on stage of the potency of this drug, of what it does to the American people, specifically people ages 18 to 35, and what they're finding in these drug raids. Is that correct?
That's correct. About 300 people a day die of a fentanyl overdose, either accidental overdose or absolutely taking it on purpose. And imagine that is a 737 crashing every single day. Now, you would think that if that happened, the FAA would simply shut down flights. But under the Biden administration, 300 people a day dying of fentanyl overdose simply did not have them do anything to act upon that, not to mention the sex trafficking that was mentioned earlier, young boys, young girls, sex trafficked across the border. That is probably one of the saddest elements of all of this. But once again, this country can be is a little safer today under this Trump administration.
Well, Brian, thanks so much for your coverage there at the RFK DOJ. Thanks so much for your reporting, Brian. We'll get back to you soon.
Sounds good.
And of course, we will return to our regular scheduled program in just a moment. Obviously, Todd Blanche there at the DOJ. And soon, President Trump will be making remarks with a speech expected to be talking about the restoration of justice and the end of the weaponization of the Department of Justice. And we'll go back now to Jack Posobiec.
This has been a live special report. We now join our programming.
What does the phrase Christ is King mean? What do they really mean when they're saying Christ is King? And I got a little clue for you. We're saying that the King of the universe is Jesus Christ. We're saying Christ is King. We're saying Viva Cristo Rey, Ave Christus Rex, Vivat Christus Rex, Vivat Jesus. Like, these are the phrase Christ is King is a very common phrase, particularly for myself. You know, I've heard it my whole life. Growing up in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia and just going to church, there's a whole feast day of Christ the King, and there's Christ the King churches just, pretty much everywhere. They're all over the place. Want to also play a clip though that where someone else was discussing this, just incredible phenomenon, and someone who, it doesn't even really usually get into theological matters. And it's of course, the great Jason Whitlock. Let's play that now.
They're trying to make proclaiming Jesus as king, they're trying to make it illegal. They're trying to smear that whole deal to where people can't say it. Oh, when Jack Posobiec uses it, he's doing it for good reason. And we just included Jack Posobiec's tweet in there in a way to smear him, but we really weren't smearing him. Hey, Posobiec is right, because this comes from out of nowhere. And no one was talking Christ is King, and now all of a sudden the Daily Beast has a story, and these people have to be expelled, and the National Contagion Resource Institute, something invented in 2018, they've now, Christ is King, boy, on Elon's X platform, man, when it's used, it's done to slur the Jews. This is a psyop.
Complete psyop. Complete and utter psyop. So going after people like me, going after Joe Rogan, who I don't think even uses the phrase, going after Candace Owens, who recently converted to Catholicism, and just go to, and here's the whole thing, right? Here's the whole thing. And guys, if you have that image of where that report, this is what I really want to get into. That image where it shows my tweets, just saying it like I do every single morning, like I pray my rosary every single morning, and just put that up on the screen so people can see this report. The National Contagion Institute, or the contagion of Christ is King, the contagion of the phrase. What sort of people would want you to not say that phrase? What sort of people would want to work to, I don't know, lay the foundation for this specific set of words, this specific set of it's a collection of letters, it's a collection of words, but we're going to track these words and we're going to label them And we're going to conduct social media network analysis to find out the 5GW warfare network of all the people who are saying this thing. Well, I'll tell you what's going on. They're laying the framework for this to be declared an anti-Semitic hate speech phrase. And by the way, this is all being done in the same context of people who are getting deported on the phrase, on the ideation of them being anti-Semitic. But they will also point out that, okay, in that situation, here's an individual who was directly supporting a terrorist group. And by the way, I'm all for deporting foreign subversives. I have no problem whatsoever with deporting foreign subversives. In fact, I have a list. Tom Homan, Secretary Noam, more than happy to get that to you, Kash Patel, et cetera, et cetera. But here's what it comes down to. This is a Longhouse style attack. It is woke scolding. Think of it. Writing lists, labeling, trying to get people to, think about the phraseology. But here's the thing. Who puts you in charge of determining what people mean when they use a phrase? And why are you specifically targeting a phrase like Christ is King? If you have a problem with someone, say you have a problem with them. And I think I'm very disappointed. I'm just going to say it. I'm very disappointed to see Dr. Jordan Peterson's name on this. I'm very disappointed. That's a guy that we've all looked up to for so many years. We've supported for so many years. And to see his name on something like this is I just find it personally very disappointing for a guy that I've always supported, for a guy that, gone to tours, I've got the books, very disappointed. And when you see stuff like this, that's why we have the phrase, the woke light. You have people that are acting like wokies, using woke tactics to label, to build committees, to do studies, because they have decided that they can determine that they know what Jack Posobiec means when he uses a phrase, and they know what Candace Owens means when she uses a phrase. But they won't, first of all, it's a phrase that, and by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think Dr. Peterson is Christian himself. I understand his wife is Catholic, but look, you don't get to make that call. You don't get to do that. That's what freedom of speech is all about. You don't get to make that call. If you have a problem with a phrase, if you have a problem with someone, then just say it. But this kind of stuff, it's very disappointing. It's extremely disappointing. And in fact, when it comes down to it, I only have 3 words to say in response. Christ is King.
America has the greatest economy in the world, but I think most of us would agree we have a problem. The cost of almost everything is up. Home prices, rent, food, insurance. Every sector has taken a hit, including automotive. More Americans are keeping their cars for longer, including me. And one way that we can make life more affordable is CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company.
CarShield's rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau and named America's most trusted auto protection company.
With CarShield, drivers could save thousands on covered parts and systems like your engine, transmission, entertainment system, and more. It's the protection that I trust, just like these other happy customers.
With CarShield, saving the $2,700 has been a real blessing. I love CarShield. It is my lifeline.
Our life as nurses, we just step up and we help people, and it's really nice when somebody steps up and helped us. If our car breaks down, CarShield administrators have our back.
If your car's out of warranty, it's not a matter of if it'll break down, but when. Call CarShield before it's too late and protect yourself from expensive car repairs.
CarShield is ready to help year-round nationwide with thousands of vetted shops to choose from, or their concierge service to help you find a mechanic near you. Unlike other companies, they don't just send you to the cheapest place in town. I trust CarShield, and so should you.
I have filed a total of over 5 claims, and my price from when I signed up never went up. And with the age of my car, that is security.
CarShield is a U.S. company supporting hardworking Americans save over $1 billion in expensive auto repair costs. More of us are keeping our cars for longer, so give CarShield a call now before a breakdown happens. Call now.
Call CarShield now before a breakdown and see how they're saving drivers money on covered auto repairs. Call 800-635-5126. 800-635-5126.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Weber, CEO of AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. AMAC is at a crossroads, and the first 100 days of President Trump's administration will be critical in shaping our nation's future. That's why AMAC is proud to introduce the first 100 Days Tracker. Our tracker will monitor the administration and Congress as they work to deliver on the Make America Great Again agenda, ensuring progress on critical issues like sealing our borders, protecting your freedoms, and strengthening our economy. As an AMAC member, you'll receive daily updates and opportunities to take action. Together, we will hold our leaders accountable and celebrate the victories that make our nation stronger. Join the AMAC family today and be part of a movement driving real change. I look forward to welcoming you to AMAC.
Jack is a great guy. He's written a fantastic book. Everybody's talking about it. Go get it. And he's been my friend right from the beginning of this whole beautiful event. And we're going to turn it around and make our country great again. Amen.
They mentioned Jack Posobiec in 21. Jack Posobiec had one of the most, he authored the phrase, amassing a combined 34,000 likes. Posobiec, while known as sometimes polarizing in American discourse, nevertheless used the phrase in its original apolitical context. His posts, while reflective of his broader conservative views, were semantically neutral and devoid of bigotry. They likely represented a historic, normative use of the Christian phrase. Well, there you go, Jack. They're saying, yeah, I guess.
Posobiec is right, because this comes from out of nowhere. And no one was talking Christ is King, and now all of a sudden the Daily Beast has a story, and these people have to be expelled, and the National Contagion Resource Institute, something invented in 2018, they've now, Christ is King, boy, on Elon's X platform, man, when it's used, it's done to slur the Jews. This is a psyop.
When I'm working long hours, I'm always listening to Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
All right, Jack Posobiec, here we are back, Human Events Daily. Now, some people, I understand, they might have some more questions about all this, so we're going to get into all of it. We are here live on Real America's Voice, as well as the Salem Radio Network with 30-hour Charlie Kirk show. And so let's put this out to the audience. I'm more than happy to hear the comments. I'm more than happy to hear what people say. Should Christians use the phrase, Christ is King? Do you believe Christians should use the phrase, Christ is King? What should the Christian response be? What should the Christian response be when a group of people start telling you that you should not say Christ is King, that start to say things that are, I don't know, perhaps against using the phrase Christ is King? And so I talked about this. I wrote something up on X earlier this morning. I said, look, we live in a time of chaos. We live in turbulent times. It's the fourth turning. The West has been unraveling. Moral fabric is torn apart by decades of relativism, secularism, and a creeping authoritarianism dressed up like progress. And in this chaos, Christians have a choice. You can cower in silence, or you can stand firm with a declaration that cuts through the noise like a blade. Christ is King. It's not just a phrase. It is a lifeline, a rallying cry, and a defiant assertion of truth. It's essential for Christians today because it anchors us to the eternal when everything else is sinking in the sand. Okay? And we understand what's going on. And we're seeing that powered, and we're seeing this correction right now through what happened in 2024 and what is now happening in 2025. But make no mistake, those who smear Christ as King or who try to shame or silence it are not just attacking words, they are standing against the very soul of Western civilization. We must oppose them, not just out of spite, but out of necessity if we're ever going to restore a moral core to society. Jesus Christ is not just a teacher or a philosopher or a feel-good mascot for self-help seminars. He is the sovereign Lord, the Alpha and Omega, the one who conquered death and reigns forever. In a world of spiraling confusion where men cannot define women, where children are mutilated in the name of identity, where power is worshipped over principle, proclaiming Christ is King is a rejection of the madness and a reminder that there is a transcendent order of a higher authority that doesn't bend to the whims of ideologies or the tantrums of the mob. When everything is falling apart, we need to turn, we trust it. And the institutions that have turned against us, Christians need that anchor. It is not optional, it is survival. Okay? But you say those three words out loud and the longhouse comes for you, right? This is the longhouse of, oh no, 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 and the hectoring and the finger pointing and, you know, it's the, you know, the school marms come out, don't, no, 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 you shouldn't say that, clutching their pearls, these self-appointed righteous speech police. I'm just so disappointed to see Jordan Peterson on this thing and have his name on it, twisting their pearls, right? Calling it divisive, offensive, dangerous, digging through your past, twisting your words, sicking digital mobs on you. Why? Because Christ is King threatens their game. This is a declaration of independence from their suffocating dogma and a refusal to kneel to the gods of the age. That's why we call them the woke light. In fact, speech policing is a hallmark of the left. It is straight out of the Longhouse Plainbook. You've seen it. The endless lists of forbidden words, the committees formed to enforce them, the nagging tone. It's the same dynamic that has choked the spirit of Western civilization for far too long. They don't want debate. They want submission to them. And so that's why when we say Christ is King, we are not just speaking. We are rebelling. We are tearing down these modern idols and putting the true King back on his throne. And that's why the smears come fast and furious. This is not about the phrase itself. It represents a refusal to play by their rules. And so, you know, these squishy, tolerant Christians want to sip their lattes with the culture rather than stand for anything. The atheists, the legacy media, these new NGOs, it's always NGOs. Funny how that works, right? They don't, you know, they say, oh, it's weaponized. Or, you know, my favorite, it's not the gospel. It's literally the gospel. You know, no, this is about power. This is about them having power over you, over power over your speech, over power over your thoughts, and claiming that they have the ability to determine who's allowed to say Christ is King and who is not. And I reject that. I reject it completely, and I reject it wholeheartedly on principle at the very first look, in the very first instance. From that instance on, no. You do not get to say who is allowed to say Christ is King, because that is the truth. You do not have a monopoly on determining who is allowed to tell the truth. So let me tell you something. This is not a political phrase. It is a metaphysical reality and a certainty. Justice, beauty, and goodness do not come from human schemes. They flow from him. And when you stand before God and say, oh, I was told by others to do thus, or that virtue was not convenient at the time, this will not suffice. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
Learning is hard work. Hard work requires character. Learning begins in faith. It must move upward toward the highest thing, unseen at the beginning, God. And freedom is essential to learning. Its principles must be studied and defended. Learning, character, faith, and freedom. These are the inseparable purposes of Hillsdale College.
Hello, my friend. Pat Boone here. You know our country's under financial assault like never before. Our government has put us $34 trillion in debt. The interest alone's more than we spend on military defense. And what's worse, other countries no longer believe the U.S. is a safe place to invest. There's a growing international movement to dump U.S. dollars at a record pace. Some economists say this may signal the end of the dollar. Now, these countries are instead buying gold, and I'm suggesting you do the same. My friends at Swiss America have been helping Americans like you and me for over 40 years to buy physical gold and silver for delivery to our homes or held in our IRAs. I've trusted Swiss America for nearly 25 years now, and you can trust them too. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these troubling times.
The FBI calls it house stealing, the latest scam where a cyber thief transfers the title of your home out of your name and steals your hard-earned equity.
it's roughly 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices, and you realize you've got 4 mortgages on your house that you didn't even know existed.
Unfortunately, it's on you to protect yourself. You might already be a victim. Check your title status now at HomeTitleLock.com.